If you have pets at home, a dog or a cat, know that they might be the souls of your ancestors, the closest kindred souls who have come to help you. Most often, these animals take on some magical influences or illnesses from you. Very often, when dogs or cats help their owners earn money, when people are so blocked that they cannot reach their goals, the ancestors come through a pet, with a destiny, so to speak, with the purpose that this pet will have everything. And when it is in the family, finances, opportunities, and some living space are attracted to the pet, to the dog, so that the dog feels good. It has such a purpose, and money is attracted to its purpose. That's why I have hardly ever seen bad pets. I know for sure that a huge number of pets simply take on a huge number of illnesses. They take away illnesses from you, they take away various rituals, something is done to you. People think badly of you, and the dog takes it all upon itself. And similarly, I have seen many times how dogs and cats build a good life for their owners.
Quite wise, actually. This is probably the most, I don't want to offend anyone, but this is probably the wisest video in this real watching category. Here I slightly disagree that these are the souls of the family line. Your father, your mother, great-grandmother, great-grandfather. After all, they can't, depending on how you look at it, animals have a completely different architecture. For example, we wrote texts like the afterlife of trees or the afterlife of stones. That is, there's a completely different astral layer there. For souls that go through their cycle, well, they're part of the cycle in the body, let's say, of a plant, if you can call it that, or in the body of a stone. The same applies to animals. The souls of animals and the souls of humans, specifically those who incarnate as humans, very rarely intersect, very rarely. This is a different style of embodiment and a different age, by the way, quite often, because anyway, in the human body, there are, well, more chakras in the end. Yes, more chakras, more bodies. For example, an animal has an etheric body and a slightly astral one, somewhat remotely developed, right? And not all animals have this, only the so-called higher animals. Whereas in humans, the mental body is also very well developed and the astral body is very well developed as well. Sometimes, as they say, the mental body is developed excessively well. This is, yes, a bit of an esoteric joke. Ancestral souls do not enter animals, but these ancestral souls can look through animals. So, roughly speaking, if you have a cat living with you, it's not your great-grandfather, but your great-grandfather is looking through the eyes of the cat. That is, the cat has its own, the soul that lives in the body of the cat, right? But sometimes you might suddenly notice, for those who have cats and dogs, perhaps you've noticed that they seem to look at you with slightly different eyes. Why is that? It's because cats and dogs have a strong connection with the astral plane, with the etheric astral plane. They can act as conduits there through a number of animals. As certain souls from your lineage can pass through them as conduits, including just to look at you through their eyes. Because it's one thing for a spirit to look at you through the eyes of a spirit. That's a bit different. Those who touch the higher self, who often visit the higher self, do know that you cannot, well, yes, that the gaze from there is completely different. And sometimes you need to look more densely, so to speak. So if you want a denser look, for example, souls not having their own physical body, look through animals, for instance, yes. Through animals and so on. This is just a small comment, but regarding everything else, I completely agree with him, because the souls of animals are indeed very strong, very wise, and very benevolent. In fact, if you have the opportunity to get a pet, if you don't have allergies, if you have enough living space, and if you have the time, I highly recommend any pet, any that you feel a connection with, one that you simply like the look of, and you will see how you truly become healthier, happier, more benevolent, more harmonious.
I heard an opinion that pets, especially cats, incarnate in the body of a cat to prepare themselves for the next life in human form. That is, they learn from us like love because we love them. We show love and other qualities, and they learn from us as if they directly copy and take these settings for themselves. Do you agree with this?
This requires a large study on the topic, a statistical one as we like, meaning sitting down and reviewing a bunch of cats. Potentially it could be, but here's what's interesting. I don't often encounter people whose most recent past lives were in the bodies of animals. Well, I mean, a long time ago and not always on these planets, yes. But specifically on this planet in the bodies of animals. We tried out of curiosity to look at the age of an animal spirit. It's usually quite low, and they are close to God, very close to God. But in terms of spirit level, it's still quite a childlike energy for most animals. And we remember that our planet is more of a teenage planet. I would say that the souls of animals, after passing a certain stage of the cycle here, tend to move on to another planet and continue their cycle there rather than on our current planet. Because on our current planet, everything might be a bit, as they say, not quite age appropriate for them. There are completely different stories, and sometimes, yes, a certain percentage of animals that go through the animal cycle here are then reborn as humans. Yeah, but this does not apply to all cats, to all dogs. As soon as you hear anything like all, any group equals B or leads to B, well, not everything. That is, this is already, as they say, the very block that slightly hinders looking at life, because life is very variable. It is very flexible, multifaceted.
All right. Do you know anything about, well, in Egypt, cats were highly revered. They were practically deified and worshipped. And there, when a fire occurred, they would first save not the children, but the cats. That's how fascinated they were by them. Why was it like that? Maybe you have researched this topic.
And I believe that through cats in ancient Egypt, they acted as conduits to higher dimensions. Specifically those egregorial higher dimensions that Egypt was connected to, including the dimension of certain conditional gods, yes, meaning very high souls that oversee the expression of themselves, including their will, guidance, and so on. Higher forces need a mediator. A cat, by the way, can serve perfectly because cats, probably more than any other animal, have a special connection. Due to their architecture, a special connection, be it with the astral plane. I just assume that they were raised in a special way, kept in a special way, and cared for in a special way, so that they would be ideal conduits for higher dimensions. So even as you say, right, to the point that if there was a fire, they would save the cat because it is a conduit. Well, like these forces, right?
A lot was invested in it.
A lot, yes, a lot was invested, yes, in this very cat. And I would say that they didn't just invest a lot, they rather communicated through it with higher forces, with higher worlds. And I know that often there were temple cats, right? This is all exactly about that, because they conduct a certain charge, a certain energy. This is very important for societies, especially those in a period of formation, because they need certain help, certain guidance, a kind of support, including, yes, from higher forces. And naturally, as they say, an oracle is a certain object that serves as a conduit for this support. It will be highly valued. And as they say, it will receive special care and close attention. I am more than sure that this did not apply to all cats in Egypt, but to special cats in special places.
Thank you. Danila, do you know anything about orcas, about whales? They say that they are very intelligent, even wiser than humans in some ways. That they are a separate civilization. There are even such opinions.
We once looked at the spirit age of a whale. It's not very high, but high. By animal standards, it's high, but still, a human being's is higher. I would say that whales, orcas, and similar marine animals are probably the closest to humans. Firstly, in terms of mental level. However, the souls that come into these bodies, specifically the souls, are slightly less developed than I emphasize again the souls that come into the bodies of modern humans. But again, one needs to sit down and separately analyze and study this topic. As they say, look at different photos of whales, dolphins, and orcas, tune into them and gather certain statistics. If anyone is interested, please write in the comments. We will then do it.
Also, if you can, Danila, say a few words about plants, especially trees. I know there's a very interesting opinion about the wooden paradise. I read it in your article. Tell us about it. Do trees reincarnate and where do they go? Do they go to some worlds?
Yes, on the topic of trees, I also have a separate text, very interesting, very deep in my opinion, and it's called Wooden Paradise. We conducted a large study, my wife and we did it together. Trees, well, first of all, they are very close to God. They are in constant interaction with each other. They want to be useful. And sometimes it seems to us that, someone nailed a birdhouse to a tree. That's very bad for the tree. From the tree's perspective, it is useful. It understands that it is useful. I was shocked, to be honest. We double-checked this information about 20 times. And for example, if there is some ribbon or branch tied to the tree, like, how various traditional peoples decorated trees with ribbons, bells, and other things. And it seems like something absolutely abnormal, but the tree really likes it. And they felt it because these people lived directly connected with nature, with trees, for example. Right now, this little bush is participating in the filming, right? And this bush is participating in the filming. I even...
Right.
I touch it. I convey the information to it. Like, listen, you're participating in the filming. And it's so happy. It's like right now, right? I'm holding its leaf with my hand. It's so happy. It's responding to me like, oh, how cool. Well, I'm translating it into human language, right? In general, if you just touch a plant, talk to it, touch it, it's very interesting for it because it's a new experience. Where else would you get such an experience, right? I mean, you grow alone in the forest and at most a crow might poop on you twice in your life. That's the whole experience. But here, yes, participating in filming, they hang some ribbons on you, decorate you with some balloons. It's very cool. And in this regard, plants are actually incredibly grateful for this kind of life. And their afterlife is also very special. It's completely different from the human world. For those interested, read the article linked below. It will all be in a more detailed and expanded form. I think you will find it interesting.
Dear friends, I invite you all to my course with a personal vision, Return to the True Self. This course has been around for over 12 years. And recently we launched it in English with my complete personal vision in 6 modules, working with blocks, working with egregores, working with the ego, contacting the higher self. Answers to simple questions, answers to more complex questions, and then there's what we call the Great Journey. It's contact with space, contact with the planet, contact with God, contact with anything, at your request, through the higher self. Health, finances, relationships, purpose, past life. The course is available at any time. You can sign up for it using the link below this video. Come on over, I'll be waiting for you.